Hey guys, it's Mandy. Welcome to my channel. This video is going to be September and October's finances for my rental properties. I know that there are a couple more days left in October, but everyone that I've hired to do anything is all paid up, and I don't really expect to get any calls for maintenance emergencies, but if I do, I mean, it's an emergency, you can't really expect it. So if I do get any calls, I don't think I would be billed for it until next month anyway. So we're just gonna go ahead and make this video right now while I have time to do it. Now, do remember that this video is for 2 months, so the income will be higher than in the videos where I was doing it every single month. So here we go. We have 4 owner finance properties right now. We had 5 at the beginning of the year, but one of them is all the way paid off now. So the owner finance properties brought in $4,659, and then the rental properties brought in $16,590. That is everyone still paying their rent, and there's no late fees in there. I did have 2 people pay their rent late over the last 2 months, and what I did with that is, so let's say they call me and they said, hey, is it okay if my rent's late this month? I say, yes, it's okay, but when will it be paid? So let's say their rent was due on the 1st and they tell me they can have it by the 15th. And I say, okay, listen, if you can get it in by the 15th, as long as it's there by the 15th, like you said, then I will waive the late fee. I know times are hard right now because of coronavirus, so I will just waive the late fee one time. And that's what I've told people, and both of those tenants got their rent paid by the time they said they would, and so I did go ahead and waive the late fee for them. I didn't want to say I wasn't going to charge any late fees, because then people may feel that they could just, like, rent may not be as big of a priority for them to get paid, and then sometimes if you get behind, it gets a lot harder to catch up. The total amount of income collected this month was $21,249. Okay, now for expenses. And we are still pretty heavy-handed on expenses. I know I told you they should be tapering down, but as soon as I got all the emergency stuff taken care of and it didn't end up being as much as I had really thought it would be, I wanted to go ahead and get the septic tanks taken care of, and that is kind of an expense as well. So we are we made a dent. We made another dent this month spending money, but hey, good for the local economy, right? Okay, so I pay my mom the loan repayment. That's $5,520. I paid the insurance policy premium, whatever, for 3 houses, and that was $1,716. As far as septic tanks go, I think back in September I went to like the town hall and I ordered the septic plat maps for each of my properties, and that was $45. And then I had, from those maps, I could tell which tanks had been replaced in the last like 20 years and which tanks had never been replaced. And for the ones that had been replaced in the last 20 years, I had the septic tank people go out and pump all of those tanks. They pumped each of the tanks and they put risers on the tanks so that the lids would be visible. So it's about $200 to pump a septic tank if the lid is already visible. It's another like $180 for them to find the tank and to dig it up if the lid's not visible. And then for them to put a riser on the tank, which makes the lid visible, is $200. Now, I like to have the lid visible. Some people don't like it, and actually one of my tenants threw a pretty big fit about getting her septic tank pumped because she said it messed up the grass and now it looks really ugly because you can see the lid of the septic tank, which I get. I guess it's kind of ugly, I don't know, but I like the lid to be visible because I have had tenants drive over the top of septic tanks and crush them in, and they didn't know. Well, you would think people wouldn't drive around in yards, for starters, but they do. And if the lid's not there, I can't blame them for not knowing where the septic tank was. So I like the lid to be visible because then you're not gonna park a car on the top of it, you're not gonna drive over it, you know where it's at. And then The second reason I like for the lid to be visible is just, it's gonna make, I plan to have these septic tanks pumped every 5 to 7 years, depending on how many people live in the house, right? So they can just pull up and pump it. They don't have to dig it up the ground. They don't have to make a big muddy puddle. So I wanted the lids to be visible. So we had 5 septic tanks pumped, excavated, and added risers. And we added risers to each of those tanks. That was $1,875. And then I started on the replacements. So the ones that look like they had never had the septic tank replaced ever, I gave the septic tank guy one to do, and then he put that on his list, he got to it, and then I'll give him one more when he finishes with that, and one more when he finishes with that. So he kind of just spread it out a little bit. But he went to go replace the septic tank, and it had actually already been replaced, which means the people who replaced it didn't have a permit to do that because it wasn't recorded with City Hall. I honestly don't care if they had a permit or not. I'm happy I didn't have to replace the tank, but the problem is that it had not been pumped in a really, really long time, and there are a lot of people living in that house. So the tank itself was okay, but all of the piping going from the house to the tank and the piping going part of the piping going out to the leach field, I guess. I don't really understand septic tank systems, but a lot of the piping was just destroyed. They couldn't save it, so they had to replace a lot of that, and that was $2,415. And just for comparison, if the septic tank had needed replaced, it would have been $3,000. So that's almost as much as a septic tank replacement, but I'm lucky that I didn't have to do both, replace the septic tank and all the lines. I ordered a dishwasher, that was $423, and I ordered a refrigerator, which was $623. This month we had a lot less plumbing issues than we've been having in the last few months. There was only 2 things. So one, I had the bathtub faucet and shower head and all that, the hardware in the bathtub, I had all that replaced. That was $365. And then I had an issue with a house not having hot water. I sent the plumber out there, they changed out the elements. It worked for about an hour, and then the house didn't have hot water again. So I called the plumber back, and I was like, look, if it just, if the hot water heater needs replaced, just go ahead and replace it. So he replaced it, and that fixed the problem. That was $749. On the bathtub that I had the faucet replaced, I also did a tile repair because it's like a tiled shower, so they had to repair that tile. That was $200, and then I did another small tile repair job on a separate house. At one point there had been some water leaking, and it caused a couple of the tiles to fall off the wall. So the water leak had been fixed for quite a while now, but I got those tiles repaired, and that was another $200, so altogether $400 on tile repair. Then I had a skylight removed and drywalled over, patched the hole in the ceiling and textured. That was $200. And the last thing is, and this isn't, it's not really the last thing, it was one of the first things that happened back in September, but it's the thing I wanted to save till the end. So you guys remember the hurricane that hit back in September, and then the storm that came after that, and it went straight up through Arkansas, and it flooded the basement of one of my houses. The house is nowhere near a body of water, but it completely flooded the basement. They had to rip up all the carpet in the basement and do some diverting, because basically it's like all the water's draining off the highway, off the road, and just come hit the side of my house. So we had to do some, a little bit of ditching and landscaping and flashing up against the side of the house to keep the water from running off the road, and the ditch diverts it and sends it into the woods. So all that together, pulling up the carpet, taking care of the water damage inside the house, which wasn't much because we jumped on it the very next day, and then the landscaping and ditch digging, that was $2,000. So altogether for September and October, the total expenses were $16,332. Year to date, that puts us at $134,430 going in and $3,193 going out. Now, I have realized that those numbers are a little bit misleading. They're not actually untrue, and I've been really transparent with where every dollar has come from, but it's a little bit misleading. I will wait until December to explain it, but yeah, just wait until December and I'll explain it. But that puts the difference at a positive $31,237. Anyway guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.